In a small human colony nestled at the edge of a vast forest, life moved at a gentle pace. The sun shone brightly, casting warm rays over the modest homes and green fields. Among these homes lived a loving father named Jack and his spirited young daughter, Lily. Jack worked hard each day to provide for his daughter, and they shared a strong bond filled with laughter, stories, and dreams of adventure. On this particular day, Jack and Lily spent their time in the garden, planting bright flowers. Lily giggled as she smeared dirt on her cheeks, trying to help her father dig holes for the seeds. "Look, Daddy, I'm a gardener!" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. Jack smiled, his heart swelling with pride. He loved these simple moments with her, cherishing every laugh and every smile. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the land, Jack felt a sense of peace. They had finished planting for the day, and he and Lily settled on the porch to watch the sunset. The sky turned shades of orange and pink, creating a beautiful canvas above them. "It's like magic, isn't it, Daddy?" Lily said, her eyes wide with wonder. Jack nodded, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. "Yes, sweetheart, it's beautiful. But remember, magic can sometimes hide dangers." He felt a chill in the air, an instinct that warned him of trouble. He had heard whispers of strange beings lurking beyond the forest, but he brushed off the thought, focusing instead on Lily's laughter. As night fell, the stars twinkled brightly above, illuminating the small colony. Jack decided it was time to get Lily ready for bed. He tucked her in, reading her favorite story about brave knights and fantastical creatures. As she drifted off to sleep, he quietly stood and watched her for a moment, feeling grateful for her presence in his life. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the night, jolting Jack from his thoughts. His heart raced as he rushed to the window, peering outside. Shadows moved quickly between the houses, and his instincts screamed that something was terribly wrong. Before he could process what was happening, a chilling scream pierced the night air. "Lily!" Jack shouted, panic flooding his voice. He dashed to her room, but the door was wide open. His worst fears began to surface as he searched frantically for her, calling her name over and over. The familiar comfort of home now felt like a trap, filled with shadows and whispers of dread. He burst out of the house, his heart pounding in his chest. The night was alive with chaos. Aliens, tall and menacing, moved swiftly through the colony, their eyes glowing with a cold light. Jack's body reacted instinctively. He was a trained soldier, a super soldier, but he had put that life behind him for the sake of his daughter. Now the monster that haunted his past returned with a vengeance. Jack's fists clenched as he spotted the aliens dragging a woman away. They moved with purpose, their intentions dark and clear. He felt anger rise within him like a storm, fueled by the fear of losing Lily. He had to find her. He couldn't let anything happen to her. His heart raced as he sprinted towards the screams, his soldier instincts kicking in. He ducked behind a nearby wall, watching the aliens with a mix of fear and rage. They were vicious creatures, their laughter echoing through the night as they tormented the helpless people of the colony. Jack's mind flashed back to his training, patience, strategy, and precision. He would use every skill he had to protect his daughter. Suddenly, he heard another scream, this one hauntingly familiar. "Lily!" Jack's voice cracked with desperation. He felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. No more hiding, no more waiting. He had to act now. With a deep breath, he stepped out from his hiding place, ready to fight. Jack's heart was a mix of fear and determination. He was a father, and he would do whatever it took to save his daughter. The aliens may have underestimated him, but they would soon learn that he was far more than just a man. Tonight, he was a warrior. As he prepared to confront the aliens, Jack's thoughts were filled with a single promise. He would not let them take his little girl. The night of terror had just begun, and he was ready to unleash the fury of a super soldier. Jack stood in the shadows, his heart racing and adrenaline pumping through his veins. The chaos of the night surrounded him, but all he could think about was Lily. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the skills he had trained for years to master. It was time to awaken the warrior within him. As he crept through the darkened streets of the colony, Jack's mind flooded with memories of his past. He remembered the training camps, where he had learned to fight, to strategize, and to survive. The drills were tough, pushing him to his limits, but they had forged him into a super soldier. He could still feel the weight of the weapons he had wielded, the thrill of victory in battle. He had thought he left that life behind, but now it called to him once more. The sounds of the aliens echoed in the air, harsh laughter mixing with the cries of his fellow humans. Jack felt a surge of anger. These creatures had taken everything from him. They thought they could invade his home and terrorize his people without consequence. But they were wrong. He would make them pay. Jack moved swiftly, his training taking over as he ducked behind debris and maneuvered through the chaos. He spotted an alien guard standing near a group of captured villagers. Jack's heart sank as he recognized some of their faces, neighbors, friends, all helpless in the face of the alien threat. He couldn't let them suffer any longer. He peered at the guard, observing its movements. The alien was tall, with dark skin that shimmered in the moonlight. Its eyes glowed with a fierce light, scanning the area as if it could sense Jack's presence. Jack knew he had to act quickly and quietly. Using the shadows to his advantage, he approached the guard, his body tense and ready for action. With a swift motion, Jack lunged forward, catching the alien off guard. He struck hard, using a combat technique he had perfected during training. The alien fell to the ground with a thud, stunned and momentarily helpless. Jack didn't waste time. He grabbed the alien's weapon, a sleek blaster that felt foreign in his hands yet familiar at the same time. The moment he had the weapon, he felt a rush of power. He quickly surveyed the area, spotting another group of aliens in the distance, busy rounding up more captives. Jack's heart raced, knowing he had to rescue them. He took aim, his training kicking in. With a steady hand, he fired the blaster, the shot ringing out in the stillness of the night. The alien guard crumpled to the ground, and Jack felt a surge of satisfaction. He had fought back. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining aliens turned toward the sound, their eyes narrowing as they searched for the source. Jack knew he had to move quickly before they realized he was there. He darted into the nearby alley, adrenaline coursing through his body. His mind raced with plans and strategies. He could take them one by one using stealth and speed, or he could create a diversion. He remembered the training exercises that had taught him the importance of teamwork. If he could find other survivors, they could join forces and fight back together. Just then he heard voices nearby, familiar voices. "Help! Somebody, please!" It was a group of villagers, trapped and terrified. Jack's heart ached at the sound, but he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He would not let them down. He moved closer, peeking around the corner. The villagers were huddled together, guarded by two aliens. They looked scared, but Jack saw a spark of hope in their eyes when they noticed him. With a determined nod, he raised his blaster and fired again, taking down one of the guards. The other alien turned in shock, and Jack sprang into action, tackling it to the ground. "Run! Get to safety!" he shouted at the villagers as he fought off the remaining alien. They hesitated, fear holding them back, but Jack's presence ignited their courage. One by one, they began to escape, following his lead. As the last alien fell, Jack felt a rush of pride. He had awakened the warrior inside him, and it felt incredible. But he knew this was only the beginning. The aliens had invaded their home, and he would do whatever it took to protect his people and find Lily. With newfound determination, Jack rallied the villagers. "We need to fight back! They took my daughter, but I won't let them take anyone else." The fire in his heart burned brighter, and he vowed to reclaim what had been lost. The night of terror would turn into a night of resistance, and Jack was ready to lead the charge. With a determined heart, Jack led the small group of villagers away from the chaos. The sounds of the alien invasion echoed behind them, but he knew they couldn't stop now. They had to regroup and plan their next move. Jack glanced back at the frightened faces of his neighbors, his resolve strengthening. They had to rescue Lily and stop the aliens from terrorizing their home. Finding shelter in an old barn on the outskirts of the colony, Jack quickly assessed the situation. The barn was dark, filled with the scent of hay and wood. It offered a momentary refuge, but time was running out. "We need to come up with a plan," Jack said, looking at the villagers. "The aliens are still out there, and they might be looking for us." One of the villagers, a young man named David, stepped forward. "We saw where they took the others. There's an old factory a mile down the road. It looked like they were gathering everyone there." His voice trembled, but Jack could see a flicker of hope in his eyes. "Good. That's where we need to go," Jack replied. "But we have to be careful. If we rush in blindly, we'll end up captured too." The villagers nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. Jack's mind raced with ideas. They could sneak into the factory under the cover of darkness, but they had to be smart about it. "We'll split into 2 groups," he decided. "One will create a distraction while the other sneaks inside. David, you lead the group with me. The rest of you will cause a scene near the front entrance to draw their attention." The villagers exchanged nervous glances, but nodded in agreement. They were ready to fight back. Jack felt a surge of pride for their bravery. They were not just victims. They were warriors fighting for their lives. As night settled deeper around them, the group moved toward the factory. Jack led David and 3 other villagers through the shadows, staying low to avoid detection. The factory loomed ahead, its windows dark and foreboding. The other group, armed with makeshift weapons and stones, took their positions nearby. Jack whispered instructions to his group, their breaths visible in the chilly air. "Stay quiet and move quickly. We'll find a way inside without being seen." He scanned the perimeter, looking for an entry point. "Over there!" David pointed to a side door slightly ajar. It seemed like a possible entrance. Jack nodded, leading the way. They approached quietly, hearts pounding in unison. With a gentle push, Jack opened the door, careful not to make a sound. Inside, the factory was dimly lit by flickering lights. Machinery lay scattered, casting strange shadows on the walls. Jack could hear distant voices, alien voices, echoing in the hallways. He held his breath, feeling a mix of fear and determination. They had to find Lily before it was too late. Moving cautiously, they crept through the factory, Jack leading the way. He could feel the tension in the air as they approached a large room filled with cages. Jack's heart dropped when he saw them, humans trapped, scared, and vulnerable. His eyes scanned the faces, searching for Lily, but she was not there. "Jack!" David whispered urgently. "What if they take them away?" "We won't let that happen," Jack replied, his voice firm. "We'll find a way to free them." Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway. Jack froze, signaling for everyone to hide. They ducked behind a stack of crates, hearts racing as 2 aliens entered the room, chatting in their harsh language. Jack strained to hear their conversation, hoping to gather information. "They are restless," one alien said, its voice cold and menacing. "We must keep them quiet until the transport arrives." "Fool!" "Do not underestimate the humans. They may try to escape," the other warned, glancing around suspiciously. Jack exchanged worried looks with David. They had to act fast. He pulled out the blaster he had taken earlier, feeling the familiar weight in his hands. "When I give the signal, we'll strike," he whispered. As the aliens turned their backs, Jack made a plan. He would take out the 2 guards quickly, allowing the villagers to rush in and free the captives. "Now!" he shouted, bursting from the shadows. The aliens turned in shock, but Jack was quicker. He fired the blaster, hitting one alien squarely in the chest. The other turned to retaliate, but David jumped forward, swinging a metal pipe with all his strength. The alien fell to the ground, defeated. Jack's heart raced with adrenaline as the villagers rushed in, shouting encouragement to the trapped humans. "We're here to help!" he called, his voice booming with confidence. Together, they began unlocking cages, freeing the terrified captives. Jack could see hope returning to their eyes. They were not helpless victims. They were a united force, ready to fight back against the invaders. As the last cage swung open, Jack's thoughts turned to Lily. He had to find her before it was too late. But for now, they had taken the first step in their mission, igniting a spark of resistance against the alien threat. The air buzzed with energy as Jack and the villagers freed the last of the captives from their cages. Hope ignited in their eyes, filling the room with a sense of purpose. They had faced the aliens and emerged victorious, but Jack knew this was just the beginning. They needed to rally everyone in the colony to fight back together. "Listen up!" Jack shouted, his voice ringing out over the din. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to him. "We've beaten 2 of them, but there are still many aliens out there. We need to gather more people, form a plan, and strike back before they regroup." The villagers nodded, their determination growing stronger. David stepped forward, his expression serious. "But how do we do that? Most of the others are scared and hiding. They don't know we've fought back." Jack looked around, thinking hard. He remembered the stories his father told him about how they had once fought for their freedom. "We need to show them that we can win," he replied. "We need to let them know they are not alone. If we can find a way to send a message or create a signal, we can bring everyone together. a woman named Maria, who had been one of the captives, spoke up. "There's an old radio tower nearby. It might still work. If we can reach it, we could broadcast a message to everyone in the colony." "That's perfect," Jack said, excitement bubbling within him. "If we can reach the tower, we can tell everyone to come to the factory. We can organize them to fight back." Jack quickly organized the group. "David, Maria, and I will head to the radio tower. The rest of you stay here and guard the freed captives. Keep an eye out for more aliens. We'll need to protect everyone we can." The villagers nodded, the fire of determination shining in their eyes. They were ready to fight for their home, their friends, and their families. Jack felt a surge of pride. They were no longer just victims, they were a united force. As they made their way out of the factory, Jack led the group through the shadows, moving quickly and quietly. They navigated through the debris, dodging alien patrols and staying hidden. The tension in the air was thick, but their determination pushed them forward. Finally, they reached the radio tower, a tall structure looming against the night sky. It looked old and battered, but Jack hoped it would still work. They climbed the steps cautiously, their hearts pounding with each sound they heard. At the top, they found the radio room. Dust covered the equipment, and the air felt stale. Jack hurried to the control panel, brushing off the dust. "Let's see if this thing still works," he muttered, flipping switches and pressing buttons. Come on," Maria urged, her hands trembling with anticipation. David stood watch at the door, peering out for any sign of trouble. After a few tense moments, the radio crackled to life. Jack could hardly believe it. "We did it!" he exclaimed, feeling a rush of relief wash over him. "Now we need to send a message." He adjusted the dials, trying to find a clear frequency. "This is Jack Thompson, speaking to anyone who can hear me," he said, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "We are under attack from aliens. They have taken our friends and family, but we are fighting back. If you can hear this, gather at the old factory. We need your help to take back our home." As he finished the message, he glanced at Maria and David. They were both smiling, hope lighting their faces. "Now we wait," Jack said, taking a deep breath. "We've done our part. Now it's time for others to join us." Minutes felt like hours as they waited. The tension in the air was palpable, and Jack felt his heart racing. He hoped the message had reached someone, anyone. They couldn't fight this battle alone. Just as doubt began to creep in, they heard a commotion outside. David rushed to the door, peering out. "Jack! There are people coming! They heard your message!" Jack's heart soared as he stepped to the door. He could see a group of villagers approaching, carrying makeshift weapons and determination on their faces. They were ready to fight back, united by the hope Jack had sparked. "Look! They're coming!" Maria cheered, her voice filled with excitement. Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. They were not alone anymore. As the new group arrived, Jack stepped forward, meeting their determined faces. "We're gathering everyone to fight back against the aliens. We have already freed some captives and taken out a few of them. Together, we can take back our home." The crowd roared in agreement, their spirits lifted by Jack's words. Jack felt the power of unity surrounding them. They were no longer just individuals, they were a force to be reckoned with. With a newfound strength, Jack organized the villagers. They formed teams, each one assigned a task. Some would guard the area while others scouted for more people. They were ready to reclaim their home from the aliens, and nothing could stop them now. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Jack and the united villagers prepared for the final showdown against the aliens. They had gathered a significant number of fighters, their faces lit with determination and courage. The plan was clear. They would take back their home and rescue anyone still held captive. Jack stood at the forefront, addressing the group. "Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for those we love. We've shown them that we won't back down, and together we will defeat the aliens." A loud cheer erupted from the crowd, echoing in the air. Jack could feel their energy. It was electrifying. As they approached the factory, the shadows of the structure loomed over them, a reminder of the fear and chaos they had faced. Jack felt a knot in his stomach, but he pushed it aside. This time, they were not the frightened villagers. They were warriors. They split into teams, each group armed with makeshift weapons, sticks, pipes, and the few blasters they had managed to gather. Jack led the charge toward the main entrance, where the sound of alien chatter grew louder. "Stay close," he ordered, keeping his eyes focused on the entrance. "We need to move quickly and silently." As they entered the factory, they were met with a group of aliens caught off guard. The surprise was short-lived. "Attack!" Jack shouted, raising his blaster. The villagers surged forward, their battle cries filling the air. Jack fired at the nearest alien, the blast hitting its mark. The creature staggered back, and the villagers rallied behind him, fighting fiercely. The sound of weapons clashing and alien shrieks filled the factory as they engaged in battle. The fight was chaotic but exhilarating. Jack felt alive, every moment pushing him further into the fray. He could see David fighting alongside him, wielding a pipe with skill, taking down an alien with a swift swing. "We can do this!" David shouted, his voice full of energy. Suddenly, an alien leader emerged, taller and more imposing than the others. It roared angrily, rallying its fellow aliens. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. This was their strongest enemy, and they had to defeat it if they wanted to win. "Everyone, focus on that one!" Jack yelled, pointing at the alien leader. "We take it down together!" The villagers regrouped, charging at the alien leader as a unified force. Jack fired his blaster, hitting the leader in the side. The creature howled in pain, swinging its weapon wildly. Jack ducked just in time, narrowly avoiding a blow that could have knocked him out cold. The villagers surrounded the alien, their combined strength pushing it back. "Keep going!" Jack urged, adrenaline coursing through his veins. They couldn't let up now. With a fierce roar, the alien leader swung its weapon again, but this time, David saw an opening. He charged forward, using all his strength to strike the alien in its vulnerable spot. The alien staggered, and in that moment, Maria joined the attack, striking with a sharp object she had found. Together, they fought fiercely, a whirlwind of determination and bravery. The alien leader began to falter, its strength waning against the united front of humans. Jack seized the moment, raising his blaster once more. "This is for Lily!" he shouted, firing directly at the leader. The blast hit true, and the alien leader fell to the ground, defeated. A cheer erupted from the villagers, echoing throughout the factory. They had done it. Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him, but there was no time to celebrate. The remaining aliens were still in the factory, and they needed to act fast. "Let's finish this!" Jack shouted, rallying the villagers for one final push. They charged forward, taking down the remaining aliens with teamwork and courage. The factory shook with the sounds of their victory, the tide of battle turning in their favor. Finally, the last alien fell, and silence enveloped the room. Jack stood panting, his heart racing with disbelief. They had fought against the odds and emerged victorious. The villagers erupted in cheers, their voices ringing out in triumph. But Jack's thoughts quickly turned to those still held captive. "We need to find the others!" he called, leading the group toward the cages. They rushed through the factory, checking every corner for any signs of life. When they reached the holding area, their hearts sank. The cages were empty. "No! They must have taken them elsewhere!" Jack exclaimed, frustration creeping into his voice. But just then, they heard footsteps echoing from the back of the factory. Jack turned, his heart racing. A group of captives, including Lily, stumbled into view, led by a few brave villagers who had escaped earlier. "Lily!" Jack shouted, rushing forward to embrace her. Relief washed over him as he realized she was safe. The villagers cheered, their spirits lifting as they welcomed the captives back. "Thank you for coming for us," Lily said, her voice shaking but filled with gratitude. Jack smiled, knowing they had won not just a battle but a fight for their home, their families, and their future. Together, they would rebuild and stand strong against any threat that dared to challenge them again.